Before I get into the story. Just so excited a place like this exists. So thankful, just found out 2 days ago. My wife for 26 years has a relationship with an old boyfriend from many states away. She found him on Facebook in February and they have been in touch ever since, tens of thousands of texts. That's how I found out, and thousands of pictures. She was smart and deleted all of them. So no idea what they said. If that were it, I probably wouldn't be on here in October. We went to a wedding in the same state as a dude, and she wanted to go early for a little time to herself. 3 days. Yeah, they met up. If that wasn't crushing enough. She is showing no remorse and is blaming me for everything. We have 2 grown children, both teenagers in high school, who now needs to go to therapy. They actually requested it. I think I may head there as well. I have moved into the guest room and really haven't talked to her at all last night. She fought with my daughter and I had to come out to stop them. Bad idea. The wife was the nastiest I have ever seen her. Scared me a little. So she comes home today and pretty much acts like everything is fine. So weird. I know she's hurting too. But to be honest, I don't care anymore. Just knowing that someone will read this story is enough for me. Writing it down has helped a lot. Maybe I'll start a journal. Offer some beers. I deserve it. And it's Friday night update. Hi, all. I found out about my wife's affair on November 4th. I guess I was hoping for some signs of reconciliation from her, but there is no remorse at all. She did ask me last night if I were interested in reconciliation and if she had to move out. I said I was, but neither she nor I are ready to even think about reconciliation. She actually said I will not gravel. So my only path at the moment is separation. Divorce. I am in North Carolina. So we need to separate for 1 year before I can file for divorce. I think she is open to leave, but it needs to happen soon. And after the conversation last night about her lack of remorse and that she will not gravel, she needs to go as soon as possible. I have one last consult with an attorney today, and then I will put one on retainer and have a letter sent to her that I'm aware of the affair and she must leave the house about the affair. I found out she has been texting and sending pictures to an ex-boyfriend since February who lives 10 hours away. 30,000 plus text and 1,500 plus pictures sent between them. We had a wedding to go to in the town where he lives and she wanted to go early for a few days by herself. She still says she never met with him, but come on. No one is that dumb? One of my attorneys said we have what we need as far as proving inclination and opportunity when it comes to alimony, which I want to be 0. She is showing no remorse at all. I have been practicing the 180 gray rock with her, and if she brings up anything related to separation, divorce, I'll tell her that is why we have attorneys. So I guess today I really start the journey, not looking forward to it, but at least I know my destination back in 2013. I was transferred from sunny San Diego to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. I had been in the Marines for over 4 years and had been sent to a unit that would finally give me the chance to deploy to Afghanistan. In case you don't know, before your unit deploys overseas, you have a mountain of classes and training to get done, which starts around 6 months or so. Prior to the date, I had become close friends with Joe, who is my senior-most corporal. I was the only sergeant in my platoon and we hung out all the time outside of work. We would barbecue, go to the gym, have parties with the families, etc. Well, that fateful time comes and we get sent to the land of never-ending sand about 4 months in. I start to get a funny feeling that something was not right due to the lack of being able to talk to my wife on the phone or Facebook Messenger. I do have a special skill that I honed from sneaking past my Vietnam veteran father, who was very set in that bedtime meant bedtime and not raid the fridge for snacks. I am very quiet and you won't hear me coming unless I want you to. One day I came into our pay B, just a big container that housed around 8 people in it, and see my wife's face on the video chat of my best friend Joe, who didn't hear me until I shut the door. I played it off like nothing, and the rest of the deployment had moments just like this where I would see or hear them talking and just take notes from my revenge. Before things really got to me mentally, our time in the sandbox was coming to an end and we flew home. The homecoming was uneventful other than my 2-year-old not realizing who I was for a few minutes, then it was happiness all around. Just like before deploying, we have a mountain of classes after we get back to scan for TBI, traumatic brain injuries, mental health awareness certifications, etc. And nobody was exempt from completing the various death by PowerPoint classes that were scheduled for that week. Out of nowhere, Joe had random appointments almost every day, or something would come up where he would have to leave while everyone else was stuck all day long at a class or at medical, getting screened for everything under the sun. Do you ever have the feeling that your gut is telling you 100% that something is going on? But your brain is like, no, stop being paranoid. Well, that's what I was dealing with on a daily basis. I began to follow Joe a few days a week when he would leave work early or have to make a call, and sure enough, his call would be right outside my house every single time. When I finally confronted Joe, he denied it up and down. Like I was going crazy, and genuinely made me feel like I was offending him by the accusations. I quietly compiled the evidence and brought it all to the battalion sergeant major, who, if you don't know, is the top of the food chain under the battalion commander. After a week or so, I get called into the battalion commander's office to discuss his findings and to ask me what I want to happen. My answer is simple. I want his rank. Justice came swift and painful. Joe was awarded loss of rank forfeiture over a half a month's pay for 2 months restriction and extra duties. Shortly after we came back to the States, Joel was promoted to sergeant, and in less than a month, his rank was gone. I heard from mutual friends that he left his wife to be with his new girlfriend, who is also pregnant with his 3rd son. And in case you're wondering, I was trying to stay with my wife for my son. But I found out that was a huge mistake. A few months after the dust settled, I was transferred back to San Diego to go on a cruise. And my wife and I were giving this our last shot. I went underway for 2 weeks, and guess where she flies to his house to have their last bit of time together after I found all of this out. I just lost any interest in being nice and making it work. I deployed on the ship and actually met my new wife there. We've been together ever since, and I have been much happier than when I was being mentally tortured by my ex. Moral of the story: don't screw your best friend's wife. I am still in shock and angry. So please excuse this if this post isn't clear. A couple months ago, I came home from work. I worked the night shift, and when I got into bed, I ended up laying on my fiancé's phone. When I picked it up, it lit up with a text message across it from an unknown number, and it read, "I can keep a secret," with the wink emoji. I unlocked the phone and saw it. That was the only message. So I decided to not say anything and made a mental note of it. A week later, the intimacy just dried up. Zero affection, zero sex. She was no longer initiating anything, and anytime I would initiate, she would act annoyed or just roll over like she just wanted to get it over with. I tried multiple times to get her to communicate and figure out what was wrong, but she played it off like nothing was wrong. So completely annoyed, frustrated, hurt, and feeling inadequate, I decided to not initiate any affection or intimacy to see how long it would be before she would make a move. Well, that proceeded for 3 weeks. Lying in bed next to her was the hardest thing, trying to understand what was going on and wondering what I did wrong to have this happen. I ended up trying to do more for the relationship, and it proved useless. She didn't even notice cleaning dishes, laundry, cleaning her car, and fixing her car dinner, trying to spend time together. I woke up yesterday and just had enough, aggravated and frustrated. I started avoiding her and just left for work without saying anything to her. She actually noticed that she tried calling and I ignored it. She sent text messages and I didn't answer. It was when she texted me later that night about how she got home from work and had a good day and she didn't call me on her way home because I didn't seem to have anything to do with her today. I replied back, "I guess we both share mutual feelings." Then this resulted in her calling me angry and I let it out that she has been completely distant and non-affectionate. She resulted in calling me a child and hung up and turned her phone off. I'm not going to lie. I was furious when I got home late that night. I went into the bedroom and saw she wasn't there. She had moved into the spare bedroom. I walked in and took her phone on the nightstand and her work phone and locked myself into the bathroom and went through her phone. I noticed a text exchange between her and her best friend where she was bashing me and making fun of me. I ended up texting her, "So glad you have been lying to me and I've wasted my time with you if you really feel that way." The next morning she woke me up mad. I took the keys to my car and truck, which resulted in an argument, and I just yelled out, "Do you even understand why I'm upset with you?" She replies, "Yes, because you found out I went on a date with my coworker." My mouth dropped and I said, "Wow, I had no idea of this." "So glad you told me." Now I got up and walked out and haven't been back to the house since I came into work to get my mind off of everything. She keeps trying to call and text me saying nothing happened. It was just a coffee date. I don't believe that my gut is telling me a lot more. I don't know what to do from here. My brain is in a fog and I'm not thinking clearly. I want to go scorched earth for context. My girlfriend is 23, almost 24, and is very, very pretty and very, very kind and social. She's the kind of girl that I've seen guys literally line up at bars to talk to. We've been dating for about 3 months and agreed to be exclusive after the first time we hooked up because we just connected, and I've known her for 5 years through family connections. I would say I'm very confident and we don't look weird together if you want an idea of my looks. But there's a big difference between the two of us. She's an absolute social butterfly who goes on trips to all different places, has childhood friends about a dozen that she still hangs out with on a daily basis, etc. I am not this kind of guy and never have been, but I'm trying to be less introverted, more social, etc. If only to understand her world and soul better. I know with a girl like this guy, friends and their past come with the territory. I don't care about body counts or the context of how she's hooked up with another guy. Don't care. I have had quite the experience myself and it doesn't change how I feel about her. So why would that impact her love for me? However, there are a few guys from her past that are not in her past that make me uncomfortable. The first guy is her best friend of 8 years. She was sleeping with him for 9 months on almost a daily basis. Prior to me asking her out on a date, never dating. And they both dated other people during this time. She broke things off with him before our first date. Something she wouldn't have bothered with if we didn't know each other previously. However, she still hangs out and snaps with him on a daily basis alone when we are not together. They do the same thing they did when hooking up, driving around until 1 a.m. because he gets off late from work, smoking up, going to playgrounds, etc. She shares her location with him. Not me, all that good stuff. It's important to note that this guy had a long-term girlfriend during the time they were hooking up and still has that same girlfriend. She wants me to hang out with him. See, there's nothing wrong and I'm open to this. She's good friends with the guy. She hooked up with one night in Mexico. They text and call every day, but they haven't met up since Mexico and are now simply friends. He has a girlfriend as well but didn't. When they hooked up, the hookup was a 1.5 years ago. They haven't met up since, but they want to. Her ex-boyfriend has a group of about a dozen male and female friends that he introduced to her, and she remained friends with the group after they broke up. about 6 months before we started to date. She slept with the hot guy of this group that all the girls in the group have hooked up with while they were all on a snowboarding trip. This one bothers me only because this is the only guy she didn't openly tell me about until she slipped up and changed the trip story. I wouldn't have minded. The past is the past. But the fact that she hid it from me while still actively wanting to hang out with this group struck me as odd. This is the only guy that she had a history with that she felt the need to keep from me. He has a girlfriend now as well since then. All this to say, I do not think she's been unfaithful or would be. Neither of us have a history of cheating and we love each other very much. Just not the kind of person she is. I also have an open invitation from her to meet all these guys, hang out with the groups, etc. Something I'm more than willing to take her up on. But I don't know, I don't consider myself a jealous guy. And I'm very attracted to women who are the center of attention and have a healthy guy-girl group balance and dynamic. But this is a lot for me to handle even with my confidence in her, myself, and our relationship. I wish I can simply not care. The past is the past and guy friends are going to be a given for a girl like her, and most of her guy friends are friends she's never hooked up with and never will. I don't know. It just makes me uneasy. Any advice or perspective would be tremendously helpful. TLDR, new girlfriend is friends with several men she's had a history with. I'm not the overly jealous type, but this is definitely testing me. Well, I don't know what's wrong with this guy. I gather he is going to have to learn the hard way. So many red flags. The fact that she is still interacting with all these men. Come on. He said he didn't care about her body count. Well, homie, you just became part of her stats.